Good morning to our Evergreen family and anyone else that's joining. I met several people that are here for the first time, and we are going through something today that is a little different than a normal teaching where we open up the Word and we look at a passage or a topic, but today is called Vision Sunday. You've picked an incredible Sunday to join with us. This is not just another Sunday, but this is actually a milestone in the history of Evergreen, Los Angeles. Jesus commissioned those that follow him in Matthew 28 to go and make disciples of all nations. And in Matthew chapter 9, it says that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And today, we are standing in the middle of that calling as a church family. And here's what I can tell you right away, right off the bat, that today we're going to share the next chapter of what God is doing through our church body. And so I'm so glad that you are in the room with us this morning. Are you guys cool if we start off with a little stroll down memory lane for Evergreen? This is fun. I got to dig through some old photos. Jeremy, where are you at? He's over here. Jeremy, he's great with numbers and collection and measurements, and he's got an incredible album of Evergreen history. He's been with us since the very beginning. So this is fun. I'm going to throw up a few of these. In just a moment, I'm going to show some photos, but let's look for a moment at Evergreen's story. A little bit about myself. I am the pastor of this church body. Another word for pastor is shepherd. So I am your shepherd. I like to hit you with my crook and force you into place. That's why I did this thing, for control. No, I truly love that God, one of my favorite attributes of God in titles is that he is the good shepherd. And I count it all joy that I get to be a representative, hopefully as best I can, of being a good shepherd in this house. But really, shepherd and the word elder and bishop and pastor are all interchangeable. So from now on, you can call me bishop. Okay. Or shepherd. You know, really whatever flies off the tongue. Or just call me Tommy. Because if we can call Jesus by his first name, you can call me by my first name. All right. All right, I grew up in North Carolina. My parents became believers right before I was born. So our family really went from that, from darkness into marvelous light. And when I was a kid, I came to know the Lord at 4 years old. I knew Jesus and loved him in my family. And when I was 8 years old, my mom, who would sing opera, she was kind of classically trained, and she was singing at this Christian event. And they did this call to missions and full-time ministry. And I'm just 8 years old. I'm probably coloring or something. But the Lord gripped my heart. And when they did this call forward for full-time ministry, it was like an uncontrollable pull from my gut forward. And I came to that altar, and it was like a waterfall falling and a wellspring from within me. And I knew that God was calling me into full-time ministry at that young age. And so I've just been trying to be faithful to that call that the Lord has placed on my life for full-time ministry and missions. I went through education, helped kind of start a youth group in my home, and then I went to Bible college in Chicago, stirring that heart for missions. I thought I was maybe going to fly a yellow plane into the jungle or go to the desert, or should I take up linguistics so I can find an unreached people group? These were the kind of things stirring in my heart. And fast forward, the Lord took me to this crazy city and with all you wildlings, and I love it. I wouldn't change a thing. But my first song that I sang in church as a kid was called "Here Am I, Send Me." And I think that was no mistake of the Lord. That I actually think first and foremost, I'm a worshiper more than anything. That is my absolute heartbeat, and everything flows from being a worshiper. But having just a surrendered yes to the Lord, "Here am I, send me," that was the cry of Isaiah, and it's the cry of my heart. And I believe that is the cry of this church. Here we are, God, send us. Here we are. It's the beauty of that surrender and letting the Lord fill and guide and direct and be that good shepherd. So fast forward, in 2011, I came down to Los Angeles, and that's when the big zip file download from the Lord came, calling me and this church into being. At that moment, I got this download that we were supposed to have a local church and a mission base, and they were supposed to pair and work together and be married together. A local church and a mission base, specifically with an extra emphasis on arts, entertainment, and media, so that he promised that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. This is going to be, and already is starting to be, a ascending center for the harvest globally, to see a great move of God throughout the ends of the earth. And so I'm going to get into that in just a moment. And so I truly still believe that as LA goes, the impact is felt throughout the nations. All right, ready for memory lane? Let's start in 2016. This is when we started a house church in Toluca Lake. This wasn't the first day. I don't know if we even took photos, but this was one of the first kind of months that we were gathered together doing house church here, casually by the fire. All right, next one. You got to get into that presence and prayer time. There we go. All right. Then we moved into a little bit of a theater that fit probably 35 people. It was cute over in Studio City. And we're going for it there. There's Sean down the keys. We still love to pray for each other. Do it, Lord. Do it. All right. Then we moved into a theater in Sherman Oaks. We got a little spicy here because we were coming into their productions, whatever they were doing. We would show up on a Sunday. Sometimes I was like, yes, jungle theme, let's go. This fits Evergreen. You're just like worshiping among the vines. It was awesome. Do we have another one? Okay, this one's great. Okay, this was a Catholic schoolgirl play. And at first we're like, this is so, I think it was Easter Sunday. We walk in and there's all these crosses. And we're like, God is so cool, all these crosses. This is crazy. And then we realized it was a Catholic schoolgirl play, and all on the bottom black floor were curse words. Like, it was like, F you, and like, so I remember that people were weeping on the ground. And they were like, I was weeping in God's presence, and I looked down, and there's like, I can't even say the words, honestly. It was hysterical. So, all right, that was that theater. There was one other one where there was a crazy cat lady play, and so she was a hoarder. So we'd walk in, and it would literally look like, truly, like trash, because it was. And we're like, oh my gosh, people are gonna think we are insane as a church. So we would like clear off all the clutter and make it as best as possible. So that was a fun time. Then we moved, the Lord is wild as he is. He moved us from the valley to Culver City. That was a whole journey. Attendance definitely dropped because we moved our whole church. So this is like our new home in Culver City, where it was a photo and video studio. There was like a big picture of Ozzy Osbourne screaming on the wall, and there it is, filled with human people. And we're just worshiping the Lord in this like worship circle. What a great time. Just love what God was doing. And he built us till about like 150 people, 200 people, was like stretching it. So we moved into this place, which you can show next. There we are. And at that time, we just had this side of the room. This curtain was closed, and we still did our kind of half worship circle. And that was beautiful. Then we were outgrowing that, and then we opened up this side. That helped us out. And so here we are today. But a little thing that you might have heard of called COVID-19. Yeah, that was a fun time. So we went to the park over in Mar Vista. You want to show that? Yeah, humbling. Humbling is the word. There it is. Humbling. So I'm out there early in the morning with the generator. Let's do church in the noonday sun. And I would be preaching. There's guys shirtless doing pull-ups behind me, sweating. There's a Zumba class on the side. There's literally a dog trainer with his German Shepherd that in the middle of my sermon, this dog climbs up into a tree about 15 feet up. And I just paused. I go, we're going to pause for a moment and just admire the German Shepherd in the tree. So it was a fun time, and then we came back here after COVID, and it was truly like a new church because Los Angeles, that's all I gotta say. LA, it was like a clean slate, fresh start. But here we are today. God has built something really beautiful, and we're so grateful for just what he's done in people's lives, honestly. And as fun as it is to see some of the places that we have been, I've got to say it's about the people. It is about the people. It's always been about, it's not about the church, it's about we are the church. And so that is absolutely my favorite thing of all. And I was just reflecting on so many testimonies of what God has done through the unique way that he moves in people's lives and the privilege of hosting a space. We always want to say we want to be a house of glory, that people can come in and engage with the King of Glory and see his glory change their lives. And so that's what it's been about. Countless times I hear time and time again, this church has been a lifeline for me in Los Angeles. You know, this historically is not the easiest place to live, but when you have a local church, it can be a lifeline, it can be a well, it can be a place of rich community. It can be a place of physical healing and emotional healing, a place where callings are truly awakened. And this is what it's all about. I was thinking about the Mexico trip last year that we went on. There were two girls that I didn't really know too well, but I noticed them and I was like, oh man, they really are like shining bright. You know, they're like sparkly. And I was like, what? I'm so glad that they're on this trip. And some other people were like, I love those two girls. I think did they do ministry school together? Like, did they both graduate from ministry school at the same time? Because they were at this kind of like level of both maturity and zeal and just how they were walking with the Lord and ministering. And we found out that both of them had come to know Jesus at Evergreen like less than 6 months prior. And the speed at which they were brought into knowing Jesus, being discipled, walking with him in community, were at such a level that we were in awe. Like, what? They didn't even have any background at all knowing Jesus or being in church or anything? No. And so to me, that was so encouraging, watching, like, I'm not even involved in their life, but they're plugged into a home group and they're seeing community bring a discipling in their lives to that place of maturity. Beautiful, and I want to see more and more of that. I think we are seeing more and more of that. And so I want to go next into Evergreen's DNA and mission. Beautiful. The mission statement of our church, this is why we exist. It really comes all down to this, the why. We exist to see God's power transform lives into thriving followers of Jesus, who then transform the world around them. Do you realize it's this word about transformation? It's like, this is the God who transforms us so that we can transform. He is calling us still into this place of the beauty of transformation. So that's our mission, and our vision, that's the how. The how is through local church and being a mission base. And we want to include all of these elements of discipleship along the way. I want to rattle off a few of our core values before I go back into local church and mission. A few of our core values, this is like what we want instilled into our culture and into our DNA. Everything that we do as a church, whether it's here on a Sunday or a small group or an outreach, we want these things to be present. Number one, we want to be presence-focused and spirit-led. We want to be following truly the voice of the Lord and letting his presence be the center of everything that we are doing in our lives. Secondly, we want to be sold out and passionate worshipers and raise up sold out and passionate worshipers. This is when Jesus becomes our magnificent obsession. Third, we want to be a place and a culture of humility, being spiritually mature, and servant-hearted. If we can see this in the city of Los Angeles, if saints in this city can arise and truly embody humility and being servant-hearted and spiritually mature, we are going to see truly that they will know us by our love. Next, we want to be a missional people. We're not just here to see what we can get and what we consume, but it's like when you know a touch from Jesus and when you've seen that transformation in your lives, you cannot help but overflow and find the places where you are living your life like a lightning rod before the Lord, and his lightning is going in and through you and seeing how you can bring that same transformation to the world around you. We want to raise up a missional people. Next, we want to be those who are anchored in the Word. You know, we love the things of the Spirit, and we love how God speaks and moves and how we can engage with him in those ways. And we can also primarily engage with him through the Word of God. And so when we can see the marriage of the Word and the Spirit, that is what we're going after in this church body. And I think that we're seeing more and more of that take place. So anchored in the Word. And we want to be a community of belonging and acceptance. From the very beginning, I love how the local church can be a blend of people that have different gifts and talents and callings and flavors, and we can all come together. And rather than separating and just being a bunch of shoulders, we're able to be like, I love that you are an awesome left kneecap. You are crushing it in that area. And we can together start to look like Jesus and embody him to this entire city and to the ends of the earth. And so we want to be a place where you feel belonging, acceptance, and you feel true family. So those are our core values. And I want to touch now again on our vision. This is the how. As a local church, let's first look at what a local church should be. In my opinion, and what I have seen as I've studied the Word and have lived a little bit of life, is this is what I believe every church should embody. We should be a school, a hospital, a family, and an army. Those four things, if you can work together and see the movement of these, you will see health and vibrancy in your local church family. And I'm sure you've been a part of different families that maybe have an emphasis on one of these four, but what would it look like as we really boost and bolster up all of these to be healthy and vibrant in our church family? There's a few verses throughout Scripture that work as kind of like a purpose and mission statement in their own right. And if you look at them alone, you could emphasize that fully. But when you look at them together, I believe it gives more of this picture. And so number one is the Great Commission. I've already read a portion of this, but this is Matthew 28, starting in verse 9. And Jesus, before he ascended to heaven, commissioned his followers, and this is a commissioning to us as his followers still. He says, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations." So if you're wondering, first and foremost, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And what am I supposed to be doing with my time? Here it is. "Go, therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you." There's an emphasis here on discipleship and teaching, and I believe that is the school element of the local church family. Next, we have hospital. Jesus' mission, which was mirrored from the book of Isaiah, he was seeing the fulfillment of this prophetic word about the Messiah. And he opened up the scroll, as you remember, in his home turf, and he started reading from the scroll of Isaiah about, I'm here, the Messiah is here. Let it ring true in your hearts. And this is the fulfillment in Luke 4:18. Jesus said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, and to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." The elements that I see here standing out are freedom and healing. He is still the one that brings true freedom and healing. And I believe this is the element of the local church where we uphold a hospital, seeing the healing and freedom of the Lord in people's lives. Next, a local church family, and this local church should be a family. And I'm just going to touch on this very briefly. If you know Father Abraham in Genesis, Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord. Right arm. Left arm. Hands up. Touch your toes. All right. The Abrahamic covenant, Genesis chapter 12. The theme of that is what? Blessing. I will bless you. It doesn't end there. I will bless you to be a blessing. I will bless you. He is still blessing you to be a blessing. That's why it doesn't end here. To be a blessing. And so that is the Abrahamic covenant. That is the family of God. That as we can embody being a family of God, we are receiving a blessing to be a blessing. And then finally, the local church is called to be an army. Somebody say yes. Some men in the room, yes. All right, we are called to be an army. Matthew 6, verse 10. This is something that we have been teaching for years, that just as Jesus prayed that God, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we want to see the reign and rule of what God is doing in heaven here on earth. That is part of the overflow in our lives. And so we are a people who are quoting this as well. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We are a people who know the heart of God, embody that, and bring heaven's influence to earth. And so I want to rattle off this again. We are called to be a school, a hospital, a family, and we are called to be an army. Not only are we a local church family, God is raising up a people with a missions heart. This has absolutely been something that I have been feeling the Lord massaging in this church over the summer. He is pumping into this missions heart, letting us start to feel that and embrace that calling on this house. Evergreen is not just a Sunday gathering. We are also a mission base. We believe in raising up everyday empowered believers. That means that if you are a mom, you are a barista, you are a producer, you are a student, you are important, and you shine the light of Jesus wherever you go. We believe in equipping part-time vocational ministers. What that means is maybe you have an industry profession. Maybe you are working at a certain place, but you want to be so equipped that you consider yourself, I'm like a missionary in this place, and I want to be equipped and raised up and ready to give an answer for what I believe. I want to be able to embody the truth and love and be able to know the scriptures and be able to give an answer for why I believe. So we also want to raise up full-time laborers. What that means is pastors, evangelists, church planters, missionaries, going into neighborhoods and industries and throughout the nations. And we are just starting to see some of that take place in our church body. We have a few missionaries that we support around the world, and I believe we are stepping into being more of a missions house. It all comes back to being a house of God's glory. His glory is all that he is and all that he has. And so when you know the beauty of his glory and you are transformed when you look upon his face, and as you worship him and as you behold him, you are transformed into his very likeness. Watch how the glory of the Lord dwelling in our midst and moving in every heart will see the great harvest take place to the ends of the earth. I see Evergreen as a place where the nations also come. I want us to start to prepare for this. I believe we are called to be a place where the nations will come. They will come and they will drink. They will drink deeply of God's presence, and then they will be sent back out to where they are called to be. It is the great inhale and exhale of the kingdom. When you are a house of missions, you will feel the inhale and you will feel the exhale. Come in, get healed, get equipped, get raised up, get matured, grow in character, grow in power, know how to handle that, and then the exhale, be sent out. Be sent out to another part of town, another part of California, another part of the US, another nation. The great inhale and exhale of being a house of missions. A huge part of our calling in this land, a unique attribute, is that we are also called to Hollywood and to having a global vision. We are not just called to consume culture. We are called to create it, and we're called to redeem it. So what does that look like? What does that look like for our church body? Short term, these are some of the things that we are dreaming. We are dreaming about entertainment mixers where you can come together and start to sharpen each other and work on projects together. Songwriter circles, guest panels and having education, creative discipleship groups that are taking place, gatherings that focus us and inspire us to see more. Beyond that, we dream about longer-term projects, such as a film and television studio, a music label, both for worship and mainstream, a creative campus where we can see all of these individuals coming in, seeing personal transformation and seeing that transformation through their work and their art. Even a Christian casting agency, all fueled by partnerships with kingdom investors. Those maybe that don't know even where to put their money, but we can help them fuel the kingdom through a heartbeat that stewards that well. So I want to ask you, what if Evergreen is not just about a Sunday service, but about shaping culture in Los Angeles? Why not this church body? Why not? If we're giving our yes, look at what God does with a simple yes in someone's life. What about 400 people, 500 people that are giving their yes to be in this land? Maybe you feel like Jonah, and you're like, I'm in my Nineveh. Listen, give your yes again today. Watch what he'll do with your yes. Why not here? Why not begin building towards global impact right here and right now together? That we don't have to just try to do that in our own strength, but we are linking arms. We are seeing a fusion and a marriage in industries and heartbeats and mission to see a greater move. This is that army being raised up at this hour. And now, I have for you the big announcement. What is next? What is next? We have been praying for years. Years, literally. We started in 2016. So you just give your faithful yes year after year, praying for years for God's best and his timing. And now he has opened a door. And so I would like to announce with much joy, 2045 South Barrington. Yes, Lord. All right. I'm going to take you on a Tommy-led Evergreen virtual tour of our new building. First of all, I would like to tell you that it is 2 doors down. So we were really praying and felt confirmation that we were supposed to still look in this area. I'm going to get more into that. Let's go through the tour. So these doors, if you go back one more, these doors will be your entrance on the left. We're figuring out if we want to do a nice garage opener or a slide. We'll figure it out. But walk with me through our lobby space. And so this center office will be cleared out, and you're going to have some nice couches, hang out. There's some nice skylights in there. It's beautiful. There's bathrooms. Oh my gosh. All right. This is not exact furniture. This is kind of placeholders. But the idea there is that you walk in, you see your small lobby, and then the bigger lobby where you can all hang out. And then venture with me through those double glass doors into our new auditorium. Okay. Oh, there's coffee too. That's already set up. Doesn't that look good? Yeah. All right. Into our new auditorium. All right, this will seat approximately 500 individuals. There's some gorgeous, newly sandblasted wood ceilings in there. We're going to clear out these offices that are at the perimeter to make space for everything. If you can go to the next slide. So we're going to bring back kind of that half-circle, worship circle feel, which we love. So you can look across and see your friends worshiping their guts out. There it is. This is sans decor. There's no decor there, but it's gonna look, you know I can't leave you hanging. It's gonna look good. We'll throw up some mood boards along the way. Okay. All right, this is more of the space. I'm personally excited if you go back one. If budget allows, we will have some nice automatic closing blinds over those skylights, so you can still have that intimate worship experience. And then when it's time for the pastor to speak, no. All right, we'll see where it goes. I've got some vision for like maybe some hanging greenery around those skylights. All right. You're gonna walk in there and be like, I just want to worship. All right. All right, venture with me to our new kids zone. This will be the home of our little roots of Evergreen. So this will be our check-in desk. It's already there. It's awesome. I don't even know how much we have to touch of this area. And there's all these classrooms. So the different ages, we will no longer have 5-year-olds with 12-year-olds. It's going to be great. And so families, nursing moms, this is a space for you to make your own, and I cannot wait for that. You have been so faithful and patient in being pioneering with what we have. All right. Next slide. All right, this shows you a bit more of the kids area. It's really pretty. And if you walk out the back, you will see that there's a parking lot, and we can either use that for parking or I'm hoping that we can use that for another kids area, play space, and different events. All right, next slide. You get more of the kids area. Some of the classrooms, so this was there was film and television that was going on in this space before, so some of theirs, see how they just ripped that TV right off the wall? It will not remain like that. Okay. There's the back area. Oh, there we go. Yep. Someone give a hallelujah. There it is. All right. I want to take you for a moment on, this is much more than just a great floor plan that we're excited about, but this has been a journey, a prophetic journey that has been confirming. And so I want to share with you a few of those confirming prophetic points that the Lord has brought us through. First of all, when we started working with agents, there wasn't much. Like literally, we've been doing this for a long time. And they started being like, have you just thought about maybe only getting an old church that's shutting down? And I was like, that would be great, but we're not finding any of, and they're not opening up. And if they did open up, they only fit like 150 people. So that wasn't working out. So we're just being patient, waiting. And the other reason they were encouraging us to get an old church is because, if you're not familiar, LA is pretty strictly zoned. So if you have an old church, it's already zoned for a church assembly, for religious assembly, and it's coded for large gatherings, for that number of people. If you don't have that, it can actually be quite a headache to go through a process. I actually know another church that's been waiting a couple years to see the rezoning of a building that they purchased, and it has not yet come to allow for a larger group of people to be there. So what you don't want is to be stuck paying rent on something you can't even use, right? So we're like, all right, this is gonna have to be a God thing. Help us out, Lord. This rezoning will take forever in natural circumstances. So finding space for 500 people is not easy to find, again, in the natural. Or it's incredibly expensive, where we're like, that is not realistic at that price point. There is one building directly across as you walk out the door that we had our eyes on for a while, but it kept feeling like we were drawn to it, but we're like, maybe it's not right. And the factors kind of went on for 9 months or a year, where it just ended up not coming through, and so we finally surrendered that. But there was some sort of pull there, and we're like, it would have been so great just to be directly across the street. But in the middle of April, I pull up and I see a nice for lease sign on the building 2 doors down. And so we had just got a new agent, and I said, hey, can you call and find out? We get the information back that that building somehow, miraculously, is already zoned for a church. That alone, I was like, what? Zoned for a church, zoned for multicultural events, zoned for live music. We can crank that. zoned for large assembly. Isn't that crazy? We're gonna have some parties. All right. Our next hurdle, because it's like, we knew there would be a series of green lights that had to turn green. The next hurdle was parking, okay? So if you're doing it the right way and you're getting the permits, you have to have parking for the city. So for 500 people, you have to have parking for 200 spots. Well, where's that at, you know? So you guys have been real sports for parking on the street. And this is a unique area actually where it hasn't been too crazy finding parking. But so we were like, all right, how are we gonna do this parking thing? That's actually a headache to try to get like the confirmation and everything signed off for 200 spots. Well, we found out almost right away after that because we are within half a mile of the train stop, you don't have to have any permits for parking whatsoever. So the city of Los Angeles does not require that, which is pretty awesome. Not only that, I wrote a letter to the park. There's a parking garage next door to it, guys. 5 stories. They weren't getting back to us right away. I wrote a letter and I was like, "Dear sirs or madams, respectfully, I come to you." And I was just basically like, you could be a part of something greater. Do you want to see your neighborhood transformed? Open up your gates on a Sunday. He got back to me. He's like, "I think we can work something out." So if that all goes according to plan, we will have a 5-story parking structure next door. You're not gonna be driving from Glendale going, "I'm already 45 minutes late to church. Will there be parking?" Just scoot right in. Let's go. We found out a few weeks ago that though the company that runs the parking, they lease out from an owner. We found out a few weeks ago that the owner of the parking garage is a female evangelist. We're like, "We hear you, Lord. We hear you. We like the signs." This is the city of Los Angeles, right? This is not Corpus Christi, Texas. I don't know. So, yes, an evangelist. We can help bless her. Bless her to be a blessing. I don't know. Okay. So all of these things start coming through, all of these signs and all of this favor, and our agent is not yet a believer. I like to call them pre-believers. So he is a pre-believer. And he's working with us, and he has said on a number of days, he has said, "Tommy, I really believe there is some sort of cosmic alignment happening." I go, "That's one way to say it, Brian. Surely there is a cosmic alignment." And he starts going, "Keep doing that praying you're doing." Oh, don't worry about it, Brian. We are. You're going to be thankful we're praying with that commission check, bro. Okay. Okay. So now for the practical journey. It's actually not much more money that we will be paying than what we pay right now, shockingly. That's a hallelujah. But there are some sizable upfront costs when you are moving into a new space like that. And so I just want to be clear with you. We're pretty forthright in everything we do here, that we have good savings. That was a little premature. That's okay. Go back one. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. High five. I'm teeing us up. So we have a good savings. You guys have been, we have actually so many individual donors that are part of this church. I'm so grateful for fueling what God is doing here. But we really don't want to drain all of our savings. It just would be unwise to do so. And it's nice to have savings, isn't it? Just in general. Some of you don't know what that's like. And it's nice to have savings. We are in LA, you know? We're working on it. But we as a church, we want to be good stewards of our finances and our savings. That's the point. I'm really not beating you down for not having savings. It's okay. We as leaders, here's the thing, when you're walking with the Lord with your finances, you're like, how do I do what is wise and responsible? But also when God is asking me to do something, I want to be like bold and take faith risk. It's that tension with finances that are actually one of the most easy things to see and easy places to see testimony in our lives, because you're like trying to be wise and have your savings and all that kind of stuff. And then you're also trying to be very generous and take risk when God is asking you to. That is part of the Christian walk. And so we have really been searching our hearts, like, we sense God so strongly that this is something that you are calling our church to. It's not even like a want at this point. It feels like a compelling have to. Yeah. And I think when you get to that point, you realize that it's not just about you as a leader or a leadership team, like trying to do something that you are wanting to do for growth or any of those purposes. You're literally like, Jesus, you're building this church and we're at capacity. Like, if the things that you really have been placing on our hearts for 7 days a week kind of ministry are going to take place, we need space to do it. I'm so glad we can fill homes and we have veteran center and like things like that, but it's just beyond. So we're asking you, God, show up. And this feels like this is the answer. We're so grateful. And so to move into a new space, this is what it's going to practically have to cost us. Now you can put up that slide. There we go. Bam, $700,000. Bless the Lord. So to break it down for you, the cost, because we want to be forthright, there is a $350,000 deposit. That is quite a chunk of change. For most of us, that's a big chunk of change. So for the deposit, this is something that we place down. Just, they don't know what we're going to be doing to the space. They don't know, when you have all these individuals, what renovations maybe it's going to look like or what it's going to cost when we eventually move out. So they're playing it safe with that deposit. The other cost, the other half, is for the renovation. And so this includes demolition. This includes expanding the bathrooms so that we have more than a few bathrooms. All of these things have to be done with city codes so that we are being responsible. This includes an essential build out of all of the spaces that we went through. This includes fire sprinklers, which approximately are $40,000 to install. This includes furnishings, anything from furniture to the different things that we need in our space. This also may include the outdoor space in the back. It also includes the costs for architects, lawyers, permits, and contingency. There's a lot of costs that you're like, I didn't even think that we had to do those things. And so the contingency covers all of the hidden or unexpected costs of a new space, which if you've watched any home improvement shows, you always know that the couple has their budget of $40,000 and they're like, what? We have to drill that? We have to do plumbing? Hopefully we don't have to do those things that are costing more, but it's nice to have that in reserve. And so I believe that this is an invitation for our church at this hour to rise up. I believe that this is not a time to pressure or twist anyone's arm. I truly believe, I do not like sales. I am not a salesy person. I'm not a hypey person. I just like to be like, what are you doing, God? What are you on? And I'll do it. And so I'm actually I think maybe there's a reason this has taken a little time, partly for me to work out some things in my heart, to give such a genuine ask where I'm like, this is the Lord. I actually don't even think I'm asking. I feel like the Lord is asking me to ask you to be a part of giving. And I can say that genuinely. So this is not a pressuring. This is, from God's perspective, from his true perspective, this is an awesome act of worship that we can do all together. When we sow into an intentional space for God to reveal himself, he will pour out blessing into our lives incredibly powerfully. And so today we are launching a building campaign that we are calling the House of Glory. And the hope, as I've hopefully given you some vision for what God's glory filling a house can be, is that this can be a place of his glory 7 days a week. This is not the name of any brand or thing. This is what we believe the heartbeat is of this campaign. And so sharing just a little bit of how this has been for me, I've already started that a little bit, for our team and for our financial board, like trying to do this thing of wisdom and also take risk where it's needed, stepping out. And we've never actually had to do such a big risk like this in our days of leading in 10 years. And so this is like beautifully stretching for us. And whenever God's asking you to leap, there's always an opportunity to surrender and to be stretched yourself. Now, when if you guys remember, we took our worship team up to Bethel School of Worship in July. Do you remember that? That was such a great investment for our whole team. We love pouring into individuals for that purpose. But while we were up there, I'm having discussions about the building, and I'm hearing about they want how much of a deposit? Huh? I'm hearing the numbers, and Sean and I are kind of like having a moment of like, we're excited, but we're, human people that are stressed. And we're like, okay, time to do it, Lord. Time to be God. And so we told our worship team, we're like, all right, guys, we got this. It seems like the space is ours, but this is the amount that it's going to be. And yeah. Not wrong. So the team actually was like, they had faith. God knows what he's doing. He brought us up to Bethel, which is like such an atmosphere of faith. He's like, yeah, this is going to be sticker shock for you. Let's put you in a place of great faith at Bethel with your like people that you're around all the time, our worship team. And so we're like, all right, guys, it's time to pray. Like, it looks like they're going to get papers ready for us. So time to pray. How's God going to do this? So we just told them, and we kept telling them, like, if it all goes through, there's a 3-month timeline. That's about how long it's going to take to renovate and everything till we move in. 3-month timeline. So we kept saying 3-month timeline. That was the thing. And they're like, okay, we're praying. One person had a dream. Another person, God was working on them, starting to give this confirmation. The last session of the last day of worship school, this is the next morning, they start doing prophetic ministry in the room. Now, there's about 1,000 people there for worship school, and they had 11 people calling out individuals in the room. They get to the last person on the last hour of the last day, and this guy gets up and he goes, is there a senior pastor in the room and you've planted a church or are planting a church? Would you stand up? As soon as he said senior pastor, I go, that's for me. I know it's for me. First of all, like worship school, there's not that many senior pastors that are attending. You have a unique one here that loves to do that. So I shot up, and this guy starts giving me a word, and he out of his mouth, and the whole worship team was like, "Urgh." He goes, I believe that there's a 3-month timeline that God is providing all the funds that you're going to need for financial breakthrough. The whole worship team's sitting on a row like, oh my God! And that was cool for everyone to witness too, and to see like the ways that God speaks like only he can, where like the word, it's not even about like us trying to make something happen at that point. It's like the Lord's like, I'm making this happen. I will provide it. I am the great provider. I will work through my people. I will connect you to who needs to be connected. I will give the right funds where it needs to go. I am the God that will provide it. And my promise is it will be done in a 3-month timeline. All right, Lord. All right. So that was a great faith booster, and I wanted to bring you into that story as like, this is the kind of people we are. Like this is the DNA of our church, and we want to be a people that take risk where it's needed and be wise where it's needed, and bring that beautiful tension before the Lord time and time again. And so here's how you can be involved, and we can all be involved. Here's what our ask is for us to do. Number one, pray. I mean, seriously, this is not just a cliche thing because we're doing a campaign and they always start with pray. You know how many friends, they're like, can you support my missions trip? Number one, please pray and give me money. No, I'm like, literally, we have to be praying people. Like, this is not a cute little thing to ramp us up before giving. We have to be a people of prayer. We have had multiple people in the last few weeks sending dreams that through the dreams, the overall voice of the Lord is saying, ask me and I will provide. The themes of the dreams is, this is from me, just ask me. This is the prayers of the people connected to the Father to provide for his sons and daughters. Pray. And I want us to pray regularly for God's presence to guide us when we're making decisions, when we are building, when we're preparing. Also, it will be a very new chapter where we have a space all week long. And so I'm going to talk about that in a second of what that's going to look like. But what it can look like in our lives when we fill a space. In the middle of the week, we can have worship and prayer going on in the sanctuary. We can have a mom's group in one room. We can have a writer's group in another room. We can have a prophetic circle and training in another space. All of these things can be happening at the same time to see the equipping of the saints arising at a greater level. And that is the movement of the change. It's no longer going to be just about a Sunday morning kind of church. And though we love our home groups and we're not changing our home groups, we're going to see the saints being equipped and raised up. Not only that, this is a time of calling. And I believe that there's been people in the house God has already been calling to be able to be those that lead groups in those different settings and in those different rooms. Has he been calling you to be one that disciples people into healthy prophetic ministry? Maybe you're supposed to lead a Tuesday night where you're doing that. Maybe you're supposed to be one that leads a songwriters group in one of those rooms, and the songs of the Lord start to flow in this church and can start to touch lives. What does it look like for the saints of Los Angeles to arise and shine in this new space? That's the question. What has he been placing on your heart that now is the time for you to step up and to collaborate and to lead and see these things take place? What does it look like for the arts and entertainment world having a mixer on a certain night? Or maybe those, I've been wanting to do this for a few years, a new to LA night where you have maybe a panel discussion with people that have been in LA, they've gone through the industry, and they're sharing with people their wisdom of, this is what I wish I knew when I first moved to LA. You can help instantly plug people into church and family and wisdom in their walk in the entertainment world. And so things like that we can do. We can finally do them having the space. Yeah! That's right. Thank you. All right. One second here, guys. Okay. The next thing that I want is, the next thing that you can do is you can pledge. Our 10th birthday for Evergreen is on the 10th of April. That's cool. Thank you, God, for that. 10th birthday, April 10th. And so if you can pledge, maybe you're not able to give a huge sum right now, but you're like, you know what? The next 6 months, I want to give faithfully. You can pledge. And in just a moment, Shonda's going to lead us in how to do that. We're going to have pledge cards and QR codes. And today can also be your first opportunity to give. On the 10th of April, we're going to have a huge 10th anniversary birthday party too. And so we'll be celebrating in our new space, having our 10-year-old party. You can also participate with a one-time gift today. I don't want to leave you without an opportunity to just go for it. And then finally, partner. You can pray, participate, and partner. Join with this House of Glory campaign, how you can be involved. You can share it with your friends and your family, or even just sharing about how this has been impactful in your walk with the Lord, and see who may have a heart to partner with this as well. there's unexpectedly so many people that are looking actually for ways to give and contribute. And maybe that's the individual that God's highlighting for you to participate with. And so if you have any questions about this, again, like we want to be an open book before you, and we're nothing's like hidden or weird. Like if you have any questions, you can email us here at accounts@evergreen.la. Or if you have a referral, like, hey, I've got a friend that I think would be really good and I'd love to connect you. I've got a family member that I'd love to connect you with. We would love to hear from you as well at that account. So pray, pledge, partner, and together we will build a house of glory. Can we give a warm welcome to Shonda as she comes forward?
Hello. I know we're running a little late, but hopefully you guys are doing good. I just wanted to give a little practical guidance for how you can give. Some of you were not born in the 90s when there were like telethons and stuff. You're probably like, what's a pledge card? So we have ushers that are going to be handing out. We have a digital pledge card and we have a physical copy, if that's easier for you. So there's a couple different options. And this is also something that obviously it's not a huge rush, but I just want to explain kind of the different ways you can give. So like Tommy said, if you would like to give now or at any point, the way that you give is on our Church Center giving app, the way that you normally give. Just make sure you please select the drop down that says building fund, and that way the funds can be designated appropriately. We also have, offering boxes in the back by the welcome table and the coffee table if you prefer check or whatever. There's many different ways. So any way that you normally give, you can give. So the point of the pledge, in case you're not aware, is we know that like if you feel like you're supposed to give an amount that you feel like it's a little too much to give all at once, if you need to save up or whatnot. For example, if you're like, I want to give $500, but it feels like a lot to give that at first. The point of the pledge is to both help you and us. So it helps us know what to expect, and then it also helps you to make it more manageable. So if it's like, I can give $100 a month for the next 5 or 6 months, then that makes it a lot more manageable. And then we know how much to plan for as well. So we're going to be handing out these pledge cards if you'd like one. You can also scan behind me if that's the way that you prefer to go about it. You can fill them out and you can put them in the offering boxes when you're done. There's also a thing on there that says you agree to some giving reminders. I promise I won't spam you. It's just, we all need reminders. We have a little ADHD in this world. So if you would like some reminders, that's a helpful way for us and for you to keep on top of that. And like I said, you can put those in the offering boxes on your way out. We'll have those around, and the link is going to be there's a website. We have like a specific page just for the building stuff. And then also there's a link on our Church Center app and on our link tree and all that. So if you need to find it at a later time, you can. And then, like Tommy said, if you have questions or referrals, please don't hesitate to reach out to ask. We'd love to talk to you more. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. If you have 10 minutes of your time, can we have family time for 10 minutes? If you need to go, you're welcome to. Can you stand up for a second if you're able, please? Robbie, can I actually have you share briefly the dream that you had? I think it'd be significant. We're going to have a moment of prayer.
Awesome. I had this cool dream a couple of nights ago. And in the dream, I was in a car and Tommy was driving, and then it was packed with like a bunch of Evergreeners, and it was super hot and chaotic and fun and whatever. So we're driving, and we drive to the edge of this body of water where there was supposed to be a bridge, but the bridge was completely submerged underwater. So we drove up and we're like, oh no, like, what do we do? And so Tommy starts trying to drive on the bridge, but then pretty quickly the water got too deep and we were going to ruin the engine. So he like backs it up, and then we're just waiting there. And then this guard off to the side, we suddenly hear him call out to us and be like, hey, all you have to do is ask. And we're like, oh, sweet. And so we're like, hey, can you raise the bridge for us? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And just presses this button and raises the bridge, and then we just very easily drive across the bridge, and then we started like adventuring into these gardens and exploring these gardens, and it was really cool, and then I woke up. So that was that, yeah.
So, very quick recap. The idea of me driving this vehicle is like the church is being represented as this moving vehicle, and we're going into these new places, and bodies of water could even be things of the Spirit. And so asking the Lord is the key. I just ask him. And I think that's for your lives too. Maybe there's areas you just need to ask the Lord to raise the bridge, but we're going to ask the Lord for the bridge to be raised, to lead us into those gardens, those good places, those things of Eden that he has for us as a church body. So can you gather, just a second, in groups of 3 and 4 and just have one person pray for one of these items that we can put up here? We've got the final prayer. It should be one of the final slides. All right, asking for finances, the space to be prepared, programs led by God, and that the building would be blessed in a space for his glory and mission in LA. And so we're going to do this quick. We're going to do just 1 minute of powerful prayer, asking God, asking him to move in our midst. So go ahead and get in groups of 3 or 4 and designate one person to pray for your group.